Hello, dear participants. Could you please hold on for a second? We are having some technical difficulties. We will be with you in a moment.
Hello everybody, good morning. Thank you for joining us for Tallinna Vesi's webinar to introduce the performance of 2015. Today's webinar is hosted by the Chairman of the Board, Karl Brookes, and Chief Financial Officer Riina. After the presentations, you can ask questions by writing them on the panel on the right corner. Also, if you face any, further technical problems, please don't hesitate to let us know by writing them on the panel at the same corner. We will start now with the presentation, for which I will hand over the turn to Karl Brookes.
Thank you, Marilys. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining the webinar today. Before we commence with the usual operational and financial highlights, I wanted to just share with you some positive news in relation to the company. Yesterday evening, AST Tallinna Vesi was announced as the winner of the Nasdaq Baltic Market Awards main category for Best Investor Relations in the Baltic. This is for the third consecutive year, which is a fantastic result. In addition, the company also received first place for Best Investor Relations according to the market professionals, Best Interactive Relations, and also the Most Trustworthy Company according to the Nasdaq Baltic Market. This is a fantastic achievement for the business and a testament to all the hard work done by Tallinna Vesi staff. Earlier this month, we received the results of the annual Customer Satisfaction Survey and were awarded an overall average of 94 trim points, which is the highest result in the company's history and significantly outperforms the European norm for the utility sector, which is around 58. In 2015, we were also awarded with a golden mark for our corporate social responsibility submission. This award was made to the company by the Minister of Entrepreneurship, Liisi Oviir. This is a testament of being a responsible employer both internally and within the wider community and environment. At the end of 2015, we were also recognised as having the most youth and children friendly company in Tallinn. As you'll see later from the operational and financial updates, the underlying performance of the business is very strong and we continue to provide a quality service to our customers in Tallinn and several of the surrounding municipalities. So, just an update with respect to the tariff dispute and the repair of our collector at Struumi. So first of all, the dispute. AS Tallinna Vesi has been local court dispute with the Competition Authority since 2011. This dispute arose because the Competition Authority has to date refused to approve the annual water tariff application submitted by the company, which is contrary to the terms of the service agreement that was signed back in 2001 when the company was first privatised. So just an update on the local court case. On the 5th of June 2015, the Tallinn Administrative Court made their decision and dismissed ASTV's claim. Tallinn Administrative Court released the reasoning of the dismissal of AST Tallinna Vesi's claim on the 12th of October 2015. The Administrative Court opinion is that part of the service agreement, which has been deemed as a public law contract by the Estonian courts back in 2012, is not binding for the Competition Authority. AS Tallinna Vesi filed its appeal to the District Court on the 11th of November 2015, and there has been no hearings during Q4 of 2015. Until the final verdict in the tariff dispute, the preliminary legal protection applied by the Estonian courts remain in force, which means that the tariffs will remain frozen at the 2010 levels. So in parallel with the local court dispute, the international arbitration proceedings are being held in parallel. After years of trying to negotiate a solution, the Supervisory Council of the company decided to commence international arbitration proceedings against the Republic of Estonia for breach of the bilateral investment treaty between the Netherlands and the Republic of Estonia. On the 17th of June 2015, the timetable of arbitration proceedings was determined, with the final hearing set for November 2016. The timetable and further details of the case can be found on the ICSID website, a link to which is included on the investors website as part of the 22nd of June 2015 announcement. The process remains ongoing and we have no further updates for the webinar, but of course we'll update the investors section of the company's website as and when there are any significant developments. As stated in numerous occasions, the company remains open to further discussions related to a negotiated settlement, but so far these have not been forthcoming. I'll now move on to the operational highlights for 2015. Similar to previous years, the operational highlights are very good for 2015, and we've actually outperformed once again several of our KPIs related to performance. The quality of water supplied to our customers remains very high. Last year we achieved the best ever water quality of 99.86%, which means that of the 2,950 samples taken, only 4 of them failed the limit values. The level of leakages, which indicates the water loss on the distribution network, is also decreasing year on year. And last year we achieved our best ever performance of 16.14% against our target of 17%, which again is the best in the company's history and compares very, very well to European norms. Sorry, I should just repeat that figure again. The actual performance was 14.68%, my apologies. And of course the final effluent in the company's treatment plant at Pallisaare has complied with all legal requirements, and the pollution tax coefficient of 0.5 has therefore been achieved. So moving on to the repair of our collector at Strumi. Just a reminder that the collector at Strumi is a 2.3 diameter sewer pipe or collector that's located 10 meters below ground and was built in Soviet times using tunneling techniques and is therefore quite a challenging repair. In late 2014, subsidence was observed in the ground directly above the collector, indicating some form of damage to the asset. Given the surrounding soil conditions and the original methods used to construct the collector, the repair, as I've said previously, is very technically challenging and is being undertaken by a specialist contractor, which is Lemminkainen. To date, we've had no disruption to our consumers or any environmental pollution incidents, with full completion still expected in May 2016. The investment for the tunnel repair has been included within the 2015 investment plan, with an estimated cost of 6 to 7 million euros, 2.5 million of which has been deferred into 2016. Throughout this challenging repair, United Utilities is providing continuous technical support and assurance throughout. I'm now going to hand you over to Riina, who's going to take you through the 2015 financial results in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Karl, and good morning to everyone. Now I would like to give you the overview of the financial performance of Aktsiaselts Tallinna Vesi in the fourth quarter of 2015. I will start with the financial highlights and then will give more detailed overview about sales and costs. The performance of the group has been good. Total sales revenue were 9.2% or 1.2 million euros higher than in the fourth quarter of 2014. The sales of water and wastewater services increased by 1.7% or 0.2 million euros year on year. It was accompanied by increase in construction and asphalting services revenues, which have increased 0.8 million euros compared to fourth quarter 2014. Compared to the fourth quarter of 2014, also the stormwater revenues were up by 0.2 million euros. Cumulatively, there has been an increase in total sales by 5% or 2.7 million euros. Biggest increase comes from the construction and asphalting sales, which is up by 1.8 million euros, followed by the sales of water and wastewater services from Tallinn and from some surrounding municipalities. The gross profit of fourth quarter of 2015 has been higher by 2.9% or 0.2 million euros compared to the same price in 2014. It's buried in 2014. The gross profit has been impacted by higher revenues and lower chemical costs and pollution tax expenses. Cumulative gross profit has been higher by 1.1 million euros year on year, which is also impacted by bigger sales and lower direct production costs. The biggest decrease in direct production costs is related to pollution tax, and namely the impact of problems that the company faced due to the water permit change, which had an impact on the cost in the first and second quarter in 2014. The operating profit has been higher by 2.1% or 0.1 million euros than in fourth quarter of 2014. The operating profit has been impacted by earlier mentioned higher gross profit, which has been balanced by higher administrative costs. Year on year, the operating profit has been higher by 3% or 0.8 million euros. Compared to the fourth quarter in 2014, the net profit of the company has been 0.1 million euros lower. Net financial expenses were influenced by the negative change in fair value of the swap contracts offset by small interest costs. Cumulative net profit has been higher by 10.7% or 1.9 million euros year on year. Now let's move on to the next slides, and I will comment on the changes of revenues and expenses a bit closer. Let's start from the sales. Excuse me. As mentioned before, the total sales revenues for the fourth quarter have increased 9.2% or 1.2 million euros. Total revenues from water and wastewater services were by 1.7% or 0.2 million euros higher than in the fourth quarter of 2014, amounting to 12.5 million euros. As we are operating with a frozen tariff since 2010, the change in revenues is solely driven by the consumption. In the fourth quarter in 2015, we can see a small increase in both inside and outside area water and wastewater revenues. In fourth quarter, the inside area domestic consumption increased by 1.5% or 110,000 cubic meters, amounting to 7.2 million cubic meters. And the consumption of commercial sector increased by 2% or 48,000 cubic meters, amounting to 2.46 million cubic meters. The biggest increase, or 59%, from the total increase in domestic customer volumes comes from apartment blocks, which is also our biggest customer group. No other customer groups stands up similarly out in the growth. In commercial sector, the growth also comes from different sectors. Total volumes from outside areas have increased by 1.9% or 30,000 cubic meters compared to the comparative period in 2014. As mentioned before, in the fourth quarter of 2015, there has been a remarkable increase in relation to higher construction and asphalting services revenues, which have increased 0.8 million euros. 94%, 0.4 million euros from the increase in construction and asphalting services came from asphalting services and remainder from pipe construction. During 2014, the revenues from asphalting services were minimal. More favorable weather conditions allowed the company have a longer construction period in 2015, which resulted also in increase in the pipe construction revenues. This now takes us to the overview of costs. The company's underlying operating performance in the fourth quarter has been good. The total cost of goods sold in the fourth quarter of 2015 have increased by 18.5% or 1 million euros compared to the same period in 2014. Direct production costs were 6.7% or 0.12 million euros better than in the fourth quarter in 2014. The decrease in direct production costs came from the lower pollution tax expenses and savings in chemical costs. Lower pollution tax expenses were related to incidents in one pumping station in fourth quarter of 2014, which has an impact on cost of 0.12 million euros. Eliminating the influence of this incident, the pollution tax expenses increased by 12% in the fourth quarter of 2015. The main contribution to increased pollution tax expense came from an average 3.2% raise in the tax rates in the amount of 0.03 million euros. Chemicals costs were lower as less chemicals were used in the wastewater treatment process, accompanied by 13.8% lower methanol price. Cumulatively, the decrease in direct production cost is related with more efficient use of chemicals and lower cost of chemicals, but mostly it is related still with the excessive pollution tax, which was paid in the first and second quarter in 2014 in relation to heavy metals and changed water permit. Staff costs in cost of goods sold as well as in administrative costs, both for fourth quarter and cumulatively have increased due to somewhat higher average headcount, increased salaries compared to the 2014, and also reduced bonus reserve in fourth quarter of 2014. Higher average number of staff is related to providing more efficient and broader range of in-source services, and also in order to increase externally. Construction, design and asphalting services costs have increased by 0.8 million euros in the fourth quarter of 2015, which is related to the higher construction and asphalting services revenues mentioned earlier. Cumulative increase in administrative costs is mostly affected by the increase in dispute-related legal costs, which is balanced by the lower campaign costs. Legal costs will continue to affect the administrative costs up to the end of both local and international disputes, the amount of which is dependent on the work that needs to be put into both disputes. Net financial expenses have mostly been affected by the non-monetary revaluation of the fair value of the swap, having the negative net expense of 0.53 million euros year on year, offset by lower interest costs. Cumulatively, the change in the fair value of swap contracts is positive by 0.3 million euros. Total net interest expenses are, despite of the lower interest income, by 0.3 million euros lower. If we would now move on to the cash flows. The cash position as of 31st of December 2015 is strong. The company's cash balance stood at 37.8 million euros, forming 18.1% of the total assets. Compared to the end of the fourth quarter of 2014, the cash balance has decreased by 0.7 million euros. The biggest contribution to the cash flows comes from the main operations. The company's collection of receivables continues to be strong, being 99.75% on average. In the 12 months of 2015, net cash flows from investing activities resulted in a cash outflow of 6.87 million euros. The money paid for fixed assets has been showing an increase of 3.85 million euros compared to the comparative period in 2014. The decrease in the compensation received from the pipelines by 4.02 million euros compared to 2014 is mainly related to the collections from extension program, the collection of which was finished at the end of the first quarter in 2015. Financing cash flows are affected by the reduction in interest payments by 0.82 million euros, which is related to renewal of swap contract as well as the loan contract. Due to the change in dividend income tax rates, the income tax paid on dividends was 0.29 million euros lower, despite of the fact that the dividend payment in 2015 was made at the same level as in 2014. I would like to thank you for your time now and attention, and all your questions are welcome.
Thank you, Riina. Before we go to questions, we have two pre-sent questions. We will go through them before that. So first question was about whether Tallinna Vesi has considered buying another water company in Estonia to increase the sales and thereby improve the results. If no, then why? Why not? Karl?
Thank you, Mary-Liz. As you've heard from the webinar, our first priority at the moment is dealing with the tariff dispute and also repairing our collector at Strumi. So that's the key focus for the business at the moment, and we're not currently looking to expand into other water companies in Estonia. However, we're more than willing to help out water companies should they want to share in our knowledge and expertise.
Thank you. And another question regarding tariff dispute and costs goes as follows. 2 weeks ago, government decided to set aside 2.38 million euros for lawsuit against Tallinna Vesi. What is your response to that? Are you going to spend more on legal costs? And I will hand over to Riina.
Thank you. Both disputes have been carrying on for quite a long time already, and as I previously mentioned before, our legal cost is highly dependent on how much work needs to go into there. We're not operating with a fixed legal costs contract, so currently in the current position it's too early to say exactly what will be the final outcome of the legal costs. It's depending on the development of both disputes. Thank you.
Thank you. So more than welcome to ask questions. Yeah, we have one. According to European Environment Agency, Estonia has one of the lowest household water use among European countries, and there is around 30% more potential to EU average. What is Tallinna Vesi doing to promote higher water consumption and hence achieve higher sales and profitability?
At this moment in time, Tallinna Vesi is not currently promoting or trying to increase water consumption across our customers. The only thing that we have been doing in recent years is promoting the drinking of tap water. There are still some perceptions in Estonia that the tap water is not safe to drink, and that's something we've worked very hard on in recent years to improve.
Does that answer the question? Do we have any more questions? Maybe before there are any more questions, I would add to it that in many European countries the water consumption is not measured, so there should be a balance in between that. Do we have any more questions? And you're more than welcome to send through questions later after the presentation. It doesn't appear that there are any more questions. If so, then I would like to thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone. Thank you for dialing in this morning.
Thank you very much.
And have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.